When dusk settles over the misty peaks of this mountain village, the world feels completely still. It's the kind of quiet, isolated place where time seems to stretch out forever. That endless stretch of time was exactly how 22-year-old Ethan saw the world. If his parents asked him to study, or if his father needed help working, or even if a friend wanted to launch a business, Ethan had a single, reliable response. He would do it tomorrow. He treated the future like a blank check. In his mind, tomorrow was an infinite currency, immune to inflation or market crashes. He could spend it endlessly without ever checking his account balance. By pushing every ambition into an undefined future, Ethan had effectively decoupled his actions from his goals. He was moving through the days, but his life remained exactly where it started. Curious, one evening, caught in a heavy rainstorm, Ethan ducked into a narrow alley he could have sworn wasn't there the day before. At the very end of it sat an ancient, dimly lit clock shop. Inside, an old man sat surrounded by hundreds of ticking faces. He looked at Ethan and shared a rather grim observation. "We walk around thinking we own time," he said, "when in reality, time owns us." But the clockmaker offered a loophole. For every single day Ethan squandered, the old man promised to secretly deposit one extra tomorrow directly into Ethan's lifespan. Ethan laughed at what he assumed was a joke and eagerly agreed. The old man handed him a heavy golden pocket watch, a physical contract to seal the deal. He walked out into the rain, clutching the watch and smiling at his good fortune. He had all the time he wanted, but he hadn't thought to ask where that time was actually coming from. The next morning, Ethan woke up feeling completely weightless. With the golden watch ticking on his nightstand, the heavy, familiar anxiety of deadlines simply vanished. He began spending his new wealth. He slept through a job interview. He left his textbooks unopened. And for the first time in his life, he felt absolutely zero guilt about his choices. While Ethan remained blissfully frozen, the calendar kept turning. Months passed, and his friends began launching their careers and building their lives, leaving him behind in his comfortable stasis. It wasn't long before his parents started to look different too. Their steps slowed, their faces lined, visibly aging as time marched forward for everyone but him. While Ethan lived in his protected bubble, the world outside was moving at full speed, and the gap between his life and reality was growing wider every day. One afternoon, the illusion finally broke. Ethan looked around the village and noticed the roofs were sagging, the cobblestones were cracked, and the children he used to know were suddenly adults. He hadn't aged a day. Panicked, he sprinted back through the winding streets to the alleyway and burst into the clock shop. He demanded to know why the rest of the world was slipping away while he stayed exactly the same. The old man pointed to a scale on the wall. Time cannot be manufactured out of thin air. For every time block Ethan added to his life, a corresponding block had to be pulled from somewhere else. A closed system. Every tomorrow he claimed was subtracted from people he cared about and deposited into his account. That was the truth behind his mother's sudden white hair and his father's cane. The years missing from his best friend's youth had been involuntarily liquidated to fund Ethan's refusal to act. Chronic inaction is never a victimless habit.
When we endlessly delay our own lives, someone else is eventually forced to pay the price for the time we waste. Overwhelmed by the crushing weight of what he had done, Ethan broke down. He begged the old man to reverse the entire transaction, to take back every single tomorrow and restore the stolen days to his family. The clockmaker agreed, but he issued one strict, non-negotiable condition for canceling the debt. Ethan had to promise to fully participate in the present moment. He agreed without hesitation. The moment he did, the heavy golden pocket watch lifted into the air and shattered into thousands of glowing pieces. The contract was over. Breaking out of a cycle of delay requires letting go of the safety net of later. Ethan had finally destroyed his. Ethan woke up with a start in his own bed. He looked out the window and realized the rain was still falling. It was the exact same evening he had first wandered into the alley. The timeline had been reset. He didn't waste a second. He rushed to embrace his parents. He sat at his desk, completed the job application, and opened his textbooks. From that day forward, Ethan permanently retired the word tomorrow from his vocabulary. He finally recognized it as a trap. We often worry about the risk of failing or making the wrong choice, but the most expensive word in the world is tomorrow, because today is the only true asset we will ever possess.